from the moment of putting it out there to the moment of actually getting $100,000 was literally 7 days, and it was one conversation. If you actually think or believe that you don't have to do any work on yourself, that you're just going to sit there and things are going to manifest, you're out of your mind. Our dreams were meant to manifest themselves. They were meant to. We're just putting stuff in the way. This is really the key. If we work with ourselves properly and we remove everything, right, we become the momentum. And now we're manifesting based upon who we are. That's being a true master creator.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to an exclusive interview on the RJ Spina channel. RJ's here with me now. RJ, how's it going?
It's going. How about for you?
Everything's going great. I'm really excited about this interview because you've told me about this story, but I don't know how much you've talked about it publicly. So I'm really glad that we're doing this one. This video, we're going to go into how RJ manifested over $100,000, and we have some really good questions for him. But before we get into that, I want to let you guys know that the Money Mechanics class number 2 is starting very soon. RJ, do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So the mechanics of money is it's going fantastic. It's three different live calls with me. The second one hasn't even taken place yet. And if you've missed the first one, you can certainly get in. You'll get the recording, and then you can participate in the second call and the third call. And sandwiched in between those two, we've been doing a couple other classes as well that people can sign up for. So this whole month, March, is Money Manifestation Month, and it's changing people's lives already in terms of just the first class and the homework assignment. So if you want to improve your life financially, and our financial vitality literally affects every decision that we make, I urge you to participate. It'll be more than worth it. It'll pay for itself 100 times over.
Also, if you guys are currently in the class, please leave in the comment section below how much you enjoyed the first class and maybe some things you got out of it, because I think other people would like to see that as well. Before we jump into it, I want to let them know a couple topics that are being covered this weekend are going to be that you've been conditioned for failure, overcoming lack mentality and victim mentality, defining success for you, change starts today, as well as the invisible vital human muscle, which when I heard that one, RJ, it really piqued my interest, you know?
Yeah. No, it's going to be illuminating and enlightening.
Now, can you just tell me when I hit the muscle? You know what I mean?
Next question.
Okay. Okay, just trying to figure out where that thing is on here. I will be in class, so hope you guys can join us. All right, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into this one. As you guys know, me and RJ are very serious because these are very serious matters. So first question, RJ, what lottery did you play to win $100,000? And how many times did you have to play it, if you don't mind?
I like the scratch ones. So, I've completely just I pay no attention to self-control, self-discipline, harnessing my mind, being in complete unification with my desire, intention, thought, emotion, action, behavior. And I simply play the lottery.
Good to know. Good to know. Everyone take notes at home. Question number 2. How many times did you watch The Secret in order to manifest $100,000?
Okay. All right. So the people that create, whoever that was, the people that created that, a couple of years ago, they asked me to be the I don't know, the main person, whatever, however you want to term that. They wanted to have me on the sequel to The Secret and base it around what it is that I do, and I gracefully declined.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. Okay, so no secret number 2 coming, RJ? Maybe, this class is pretty much the secret. I'll tell you guys this. I saw a comment that said like somebody had been studying manifestation their entire life and had never heard anything that you talked about in this class. And that's how different it was. I used to be under this illusion that like I had to win the lottery, and like I took one of RJ's courses and I figured out it was a block that I had because that was the only way that I thought the money could come in for me. And so, if any of you guys resonate with that, I used to watch all these lottery videos about how these people manifested it, and it doesn't have to be that way. So with that being said, let's get into the next question. How much of what we manifest, RJ, is related to how much we feel that we deserve?
Oh, wow. 100%. So I would say 100%. And we've talked about this in class, and you've heard me say this too, right? You don't manifest based upon what you want or what you desire. You manifest based upon who you are. So, and that statement runs really, really deep. It's one thing to just understand those words and to understand it mentally. It's another thing to embody it. And this is what makes all these classes and courses so wildly different is that there's a step-by-step process that I give everybody to actually peel everything away, remove the subconscious pattern egoic mind, which is responsible for 95% of reality creation is our subconscious mind. And until that's addressed, until we see it clearly, nothing is ever going to change. And so we address that to start off with. And we can't manifest anything that we are not the embodiment of. And if we think about it, the outside, their so-called outside world, which doesn't exist, the so-called outside world is always a mirror and an amplifier of what it is that we're emanating. So of course, we can only manifest based upon actually who we are, right? If we want something, then the universe will emanate wanting, not the manifestation of it. So we have to go much deeper metaphysically. We have to remove programming. It's all based, that's the foundation. But as you know, Justin, understanding something mentally is really irrelevant. That has nothing to do with it. And what I even said in last class was that it's more important for the students that were in class. I said, it's more important that you're present while we do this class and you let what I say land on the ears of your heart and stop trying to even understand it mentally. Don't bother. Don't bother trying to mentalize what I'm doing. That won't change anything. Don't mentalize these teachings and these understandings. Connect with them energetically, become the embodiment of it, and then the outside world will reflect that.
And that's why I like how you say, like, you can watch as many YouTube videos as you want, but until you become the embodiment of it, as well as, a really good thing that I took from the first class, RJ, was just the fact that you dispelled a lot of the things that are, perpetuated on YouTube. So highly recommend you guys jump into the class. You get the replay of the first one, and it was incredible. With that being said, next question, RJ, we kind of alluded to this earlier with some of my earlier questions, but what work had to be put in order for you to manifest this? Because I think, the secret, like law of attraction, we think we just sit here and it's going to come to us. So was there work that had to be put in?
Yeah, there was a lot of work. That's part of one of the big misconceptions is like, you don't have to do anything and these things will just show up. I mean, it's such a lie. It's a good selling tactic, that's for sure. Hey, just sit back and it'll all just come to you. That sounds good. I'll sign up for that. It's just a lie. It's just an absolute lie. So the genesis of this is the third course in money manifestation, right? So the genesis of all this was all the work that I did on myself while I was writing my second book, Change Your Mind. So all these different, and people are familiar with the 14-day notebook exercise, right? Which is to question and get to our core motivation for everything that we're doing. That will actually reveal our programming. And so all of this work for me was required to peel away layer after layer and see it, deconstruct it. So my conscious mind could see the programs that I was running. And some of those programs had to do with lack and poverty mentality, about being super spiritual and having disdain for money, but yet having a desire for money because it allows you to do other things. So there was absolute work put into it. And the good news is that I've taken what I've learned with myself and done with myself and taught lots of people and now condensed it into these classes and courses. You absolutely have to do work. If someone tells you there's no work involved, this is someone who has not manifested what it is that they desire. You have to remove the layering. You have to see it and then not mentally understand it. So that's what go beyond mental understanding. So that's what the classes and courses are about. It gives you exercises, protocols. It lays everything out for people to do. And that's why it's so effective, because it's a deprogram and an embodiment of the self, what money is and how it actually works.
Is it important for us to know an exact number that we're trying to manifest whenever we're trying to, bring something about?
Well, is it important? I mean, they could be helpful. I mean, things that are measurable and quantifiable and that are bound by time, which in that sense makes it very humanistic, those qualities actually, right? Because what we are is immortal and not bound by time. But a human character is definitely bound by time. So the answer to that is yes, it can be helpful. Absolutely. But we have to temper that with the idea that any number that we desire in our head is actually a limitation as well, right? So it's like, I want to make $250,000. this year, right? Well, you could make 500,000, but you're kind of limiting yourself by saying, I want to make 250. So it's helpful at the same time to expand, but at the same time, goals can also be limiting. So we have to understand that and weigh that. But I would say for people that are, I don't want to say starting off, that's the wrong way to say it. Well, for people that are starting off with how these things actually work, it's probably a good idea. It's probably a good idea. And when I say starting off, I don't mean people that have tried all these other things and realize they don't work, because one size does not fit all. And we talked about that in the money avatar class. So it's helpful to have a number. At the same time, realize that even that number is a limitation. But in the beginning, I think it's useful. You could almost see it as training wheels. It's like you're getting yourself working properly to get to a certain number, and then you're going to realize you can take the wheels off and forget that number. We can go so far beyond that, but to start off with it, it can be very useful.
Okay, because I'm sure it would be more advantageous than just saying, I want to make a lot of money this year, because, yeah. So anyway, I just want to make sure we get clarity around that, because, I think it's important, right? Because sometimes our goals or whatever are too vague. But RJ, how much better was your life after you received this money? Because I think a lot of us, think happiness is at the end of a manifestation, or happiness comes whenever there's, a lot more money. So, did you see a significant increase in your happiness?
No, zero. No, it doesn't. That's not how this works. I mean, we think it does, and that's okay. But we have to have that experience to realize that it's really about unification with yourself and being yourself. And because, as we just said before, we manifest based upon who we are, right? And by doing the work, right, we get to who and what we are. So there's that authenticity. Authenticity is the real powerhouse in terms of manifestation, right? So when we are authentic with who we are, that's when manifestation happens, and it's almost mind-boggling how it starts to happen. It didn't change my life or made me happier. It opened the door. It's kind of like the first milestone, if you will, and then you have that momentum, right? Because once you do this properly, you become the momentum, right? And nothing is really stopping you. So I think the most interesting thing about um, the $100,000 that came in right away, it only took a week. It only took a week. Now, it only took a week because I had been doing a lot of work on myself prior to that. So, right, it's like the overnight success that was 10 years in the making, right? So, but in terms of putting it out there to get my nonprofit running, from the moment of putting it out there to the moment of actually getting $100,000 was literally 7 days, and it was one conversation. It was one conversation, but that's because things had been set up properly within myself. That's the real reason. And as things were set up properly within myself, I was also able to produce material that was reflective of what my vision is for the nonprofit. And then when I had that conversation and presented the material, it resonated with this person, and they made a generous donation. And now we're, off to the races. That was a while ago, right? So the work is there. Does it make you happy? No, because we already are happy. It's just that our attention is on something else, and that's why we don't really experience it. We are happiness, we are joy, right? But when you can attune body mind to that, the outside world will reflect that, and in some sense, abundance in all its forms actually is part of that. But it didn't mean I was happy before, so it just allowed me to do some of the things that I'm doing today.
I like the fact that you talked about momentum, RJ, because having that momentum kind of alludes to the fact that there was work being done. So, how important is momentum in our ability to manifest? I mean, I don't think people just go from 0 to 100K, right? Like, there's got to be some steps in between, right?
Yeah. Well, okay. So momentum. Let's look at it. let's think of a train, right? So big, powerful train, or even a rocket, right? It's like all the energy, all the gasoline, all the rocket fuel, right, is used to get it going, right? That's where all of the effort is. And then once you reach a certain point, it's momentum. It's almost like you're being carried, right? So we want to actually get to that. So, and we get to that by working with ourselves properly, and it becomes permanent, because for a goal to be permanent, it must already be present. And when we start to understand that, we start to understand that we are the momentum, and it is our authenticity, and it is working with ourselves optimally, is when it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. So initially there is the work to do, just like to get the rocket off the ground. It goes through what, 95% of its fuel is all in the takeoff, right? And then with a train, it's like all the effort and energy to get it going. And then once it reaches a certain speed, or once the rocket reaches a certain altitude, it's almost just coasting, so to speak. That's the momentum. And this is the key. This is really the key. If we work with ourselves properly and we remove everything, right, we become the momentum. And now we're manifesting based upon who we are. And it isn't this, it doesn't happen by not working with yourself optimally. It doesn't happen by not taking actions. It doesn't happen by wanting things. It doesn't happen through vision boards. It happens through working with yourself properly and optimally, having a clear understanding, a clear, tangible understanding of who you actually are, what money is, and how it actually works. And now there's no friction. None. There's nothing impeding anything. And this is what I mean about the momentum. But we have to start off with the proper understanding of who we are, what money is, and how it operates, and remove everything that is not in alignment with what is. And then once we do that, the momentum is unstoppable.
Absolutely. I love momentum. I also love compounding. Like I think,
Yeah.
actions taken over time actually compound. And I think those kind of fall in the same vein. Another thing is, if you guys didn't know this, like RJ's going through a PDF in the money mechanics class, but every single class has homework. And I think that's the work that's going to end up, cleaving things away, as RJ says, and building that momentum for you guys. So highly recommend, if you're somebody that wants to put in the work and maybe you don't know what direction to go, to be sure to check out the money mechanics class, because RJ lays out exactly what to do. Another thing, RJ, in that class, you talked about the cleaving away. We're not adding anything else on top. Do you want to touch on that just real quick? Because I think, a lot of times people are like, oh, are you going to give me another manifestation trick? Like I've heard all of them, right?
Yeah. I'd like to say the more you add, the more you're taking away. Right. And so this is part of what I say. This is how this relates to, we manifest based upon who we are, and we are a divine fractal of God, perfect, whole, and complete as we are. So anything that we're adding onto that is actually taking away from the completeness and the wholeness of who we are. Right. So it's not adding mantras and mantras and affirmations certainly have their place, but not until you've cleaved everything away. If you're adding on top, right, and you have all these layers, you're taking away from the completeness, the authenticity, and the power of the self, right? So all of these classes and courses, if someone wants real results, there's enough information out there. What people need is a solution, right? And that's what this is. That's what all these classes and courses, they're a solution to how this actually works. Now, the caveat is, if you actually think or believe that you don't have to do any work on yourself, that you're just going to sit there and things are going to manifest, you're out of your mind. You're absolutely out of your mind. That is delusional. Show me one person who doesn't take any actions and can manifest whatever it is that they desire. It's a lie. It doesn't work that way. So if you want to, if you're motivated to work on yourself, I will give you the solution as to how to do it. Step by step, literally, as you know, step by step. You do this, you do this, you do this, you do this, and you actually experience tangible results. It is about desire, intention, thought, emotion, action, and behavior in complete unification with who you are, while having a tangible understanding of what money is and how it actually works. That's really the formula. And then there's a whole bunch of other things, as you know, that's in there. But anybody can do this if they're taught properly, period.
And one thing I love is you find very quickly how bad you want it, right? Because it's one thing to sit here and watch videos and hear people's success stories. It's another thing to actually put in the work for yourself. So if you guys are, like I said, confused, you don't know what the next steps are going to be, RJ lays them out. Not only does he cleave everything away, he gives you the step-by-step after that. Now, RJ, you kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier, but did the purpose that you had for the money make any difference in your ability to manifest it? Like, because you had a great purpose for it, did it come easier? Or?
Oh, for sure. And that's what this goes back to, the authenticity, right? That's what it's about. This is authentic to who and what I am. So, and this is to raise money for a nonprofit to be able to get the teachings out there. Hey, this is what happens when you're shadow banned. So this is to get the teachings out there in a very large way. So yes, the authenticity, the where the desire was coming from, what the real purpose of it is, and for my entire presence here on this planet, right? It's all related. So absolutely, it plays a major role. Your authenticity, if you're being true to who and what you really are, and the actions, the desires that we have, we know that they're true to who and what we are, is when they benefit us and everyone simultaneously. It's not just for RJ, and it's not just for everyone else. It's both, because I'm not excluded and neither are you. And so when we do this, when there really is the oneness, what this is really about is the oneness. This allows me to keep being a world teacher in this incarnation as RJ. So yes, it's important where it's vital where it comes from, because the desires, the programmed desires of the ego mind identity are weak and ineffectual, just like the ego mind identity is weak and ineffectual, which is part of why people have such trouble manifesting wealth, because they're trying to do it through their character. That's one of the major issues. And so that's why that has to be addressed. And then when it comes from a truly, authentically pure place, that's when magic happens.
I'm glad you said that, RJ. I recently watched this game show, and there was like over 2,000 contestants, and the grand prize was like, it ended up being $10 million. But the guy who ultimately won, his son had a rare disease that it was no cure for, and he had said it multiple times throughout the show that he was in this to win this, so he could put all that money towards it. And it was just such a big vision. Like, I think a big enough why can overcome anyhow, right? So I'm just glad that you said that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the resonance of authenticity coming from a pure place. I mean, that because that's what is. That's what is. And so when you are that and in alignment with that, the outside world reflects that.
Okay, beautiful. The other thing is, and I think you covered this in class 3, is like the difference between what the self wants or the ego wants, and so those desires are two different things. So just something else that's going to be covered later on in the mechanics of money. Now, RJ, is it better for us to keep our manifestations, to ourselves as we're trying to bring them about, or is it better for us to kind of share those things with other people?
Oh, zip it. Zip it. No, okay. So yeah, for the most part, yes, and I'll explain why. So when you make, I'll use the word public, which is not necessarily putting it on the internet. That's not really what I mean. But when you share what your desired manifestation is, you're actually opening up your desire to be affected by other people's energies. And so you don't want to do that. You absolutely don't want to do that. So the best thing for the most part, and then I'll explain when you don't want to do that. But for the most part, I just call it stealth mode. Don't share it with people because you don't need to. The only energy you want behind your desire for your manifestation is your own. And that way no one can mess with it. And also people don't even realize that they're doing that. I'm not talking about they're sitting at home, trying to do spells maybe some are trying to do spells that you don't have the success that you desire to manifest. It's just more their own programming starts emanating once you tell them, and it starts to mix, because then they think about it. Now they're connected with what it is that you shared, and now they're programming. So you want to operate in stealth mode. So that's 9 times out of 10. Now the caveat, and we talk about some of this in the larger vibrational engineering class, there is a caveat to that. And that's when your goal, or what it is that you desire to manifest, actually requires other people's participation. And then at that point, that's when you actually want to draw them in, but only at the point when it's required. So and that's when what you're doing is quite large, right? So like me telling people about the retreat center, right? At some point I had to tell people, because it's going to require other people. But for the most part, keep it to yourself. That way no one's feelings, thoughts, emotions, beliefs can affect what it is that you're trying to do, because people do affect it with their energies. They don't even realize it. And then some do realize it, and they don't wish you success, believe it or not. But even when it's subconscious, it affects it. So just keep it to yourself. That's the best way to go.
RJ, next question. One of my favorite lines of yours is, a master only focuses on what they intend to manifest. So how did this kind of play into your ability to bring about this money?
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, I have said that, right? A master only thinks about what it intends or he or she intends to manifest. Okay. So without me going on and on, we can draw it back to the order of creation, which is desire, intention, thought, emotion, action, and behavior. So when there is unification with this, there is no other thoughts. There are no stray thoughts. Every thought, every emotion, every action, every behavior is in complete unification with what it is your desire is to manifest. So there's never a stray thought. There's never a thought of doubt. There's never a thought of worry. There's never a thought about, well, but what about this? But what if this? You don't even do that, because every time you do that, you're giving energy to those stray thoughts. And this is part of how we lose our own energy, because we're giving energy over here and over here, and it's not even what our desire is. It's not in alignment with our desire. But this is also how we create parallel conditions that we don't desire to actually experience, because we don't have control over our mind. So a master only thinks about what they intend to manifest. And that's the metaphysical understanding behind it. It has to do with the order of creation: desire, intention, thought, emotion, action, behavior, in complete unification. And when we understand that, a master only thinks about what it is that they desire to manifest, because it's a complete unification with the order of creation.
I am a beach ball. I am a beach ball.
Right?
Now,
Yeah.
what if the well, what if our focus is what we're focusing on is kind of disillusioned? Like, obviously I could never become a beach ball. Do you have any advice for that?
Well, okay. Yeah, that's the example I used last time. I wonder where you
Yeah,
got
that's
that.
right. That's why I pulled it back in.
Yeah. Okay. So this goes back to authenticity, right? We were talking about that before. Like, the most powerful emanation is the authentic self, the I am, which is a fractal of God, right? That is what is, right? So when we're working that way, this is when this is the magic, and this is when magic happens and shows up in the outside world. So I'm a beach ball, or whatever else is just a ridiculous example, but because that's not authentic, it's not grounded in who and what you really are. That's part of why these things don't work. It's not what is. And so those things are not going to come to fruition, no matter how much you believe, right? You hear people say, just believe, right? Just say it, just believe it. I don't care how much you believe and say that you're a beach ball. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, because there is just this deep misalignment with what is, right? Now, if we just take that understanding, what I just said, if we just take that understanding and we work with ourselves properly and optimally, we're going to realize our dreams were meant to manifest themselves. They were meant to. We're just putting stuff in the way, stuff that is not authentic to who and what we are, which is why those are not our dreams. And that's why they don't happen, because they don't belong to us. They belong to something else. Call it the matrix, call it whatever you want to call it. Doesn't really matter, right? It doesn't come from you. It's not authentic to you. So all the believing in the world and all the mantras in the world and in the wish fulfilled and all this kind of stuff, it's not going to work. That's not what is. That's not what is. And when you work with what is, the I am, that's what manifests that abundance.
I'm gonna prove you wrong, RJ.
Go ahead,
I'll
do
be a
it.
beach ball by our next interview.
I'd love to see it. I'm open to learning 24/7. I'd love to see it.
Okay, beautiful. RJ, I did want to get into, some of the talents and abilities that you had to cultivate in order to, bring about this 100K, because, like we said, back to the, people just sitting around, I think you had to have sales ability, had ability to have a vision, ability to say that vision into words, all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, I mean, I haven't really thought about that, but yeah, I mean, it seems like it was 20 lifetimes ago, but I used to raise money for the biggest nonprofits in the world, and I was yeah, I did well because it meant something to me. It meant something to me. So because I felt in alignment with what it is that they were trying to do, and I think that came across. So you're probably right. You're probably right that I don't even like the word salesmanship. It's more just being able to express yourself clearly and articulately, and with enthusiasm and empathy, right? And if you want to call that salesmanship, that's fine. I guess we can call it that. But I would say the ability to articulate clearly something that we're passionate about, I think is really the key. So probably, like I said, what feels like 1,000 years ago, it probably did help. I mean, how could it not? So it must have helped. And talking about that too, by the way, I don't want to give anything away. I'm going to teach a class later this year that relates to what we're talking about, the ability to articulate in a concise, clear way with enthusiasm about what it is that you want to share with people, because there's going to be great value. There's so many people that have wonderful talents, skills, and abilities that they would love to be able to share with the world. I'm not sure they know how to do it, how to go about it, what is the right way, what are the steps, how do we organize this and this and that. So I'm actually going to teach a course on that. And some of the things that I learned, just to go a little further, some of the things that I learned in terms of classes and courses, because obviously that's what I do besides writing the books and the workshops and the retreats. I have invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in my business or in myself to work with these companies that teach, this is how you put this together, this is how you put that together. So I'm always reinvesting in myself to learn how to present what it is that I'm most excited about, so people can avail themselves of it. So there's all of that going on. The ability to express yourself, something you're passionate about, being clear and concise about it, and then investing in yourself to keep making the offer, if you will, more user friendly, more so people can get into it easier, so they can understand it, so they have great facility with it right away. It all comes together. So I would say, yeah, the skills that I developed a long time ago, in terms of raising money for nonprofits, probably helped a great deal. Probably helped a great deal. Now that you asked that question, yeah.
Okay, excellent. And I think that's where we get into the momentum. That's where we get into the compounding of
Mm.
things. The overnight success that was 10 years in the making doesn't sound as fun as, just sit here and it's going to show up. But
Well, okay, let me just say that I disagree. Okay, it's a lot more fun to see the tangible results of your self-control and self-discipline, of you putting in sincere effort. That actually is a lot more fun to me than just sitting here and not doing anything and anticipating or expecting or being such a state of delusion that it just shows up. Now, the fun, the is working with yourself optimally, is seeing the result of your desire, intention, thought, emotion, action, behavior in complete unification. To me, that is fun. That's being a true master creator, is harnessing and working with all the subtleness of who and what we really are, not just our physical body and not just our thoughts, working with the larger self in unification. To me, that's what fun is.
I also think that it's very disempowering just to sit back and,
Yeah.
say it's going to be brought to me. Like, this is a good way to take your power back. You're the one taking the action. You're the one reaping the rewards of that action. And there's nowhere else in this physical universe, at least I feel like, where you can put in no action and reward just is given. So it kind of seems like a law. But anyway, RJ, anything else you want to mention with regards to the 100,000 that you're able to manifest?
Uh, I mean, I really mean this. I've People have taken these courses and manifested way more than that in the same amount of time. So this is actually how you do it. It's the stuff that we're talking about here, and of course, there's more in these classes and courses, right? But this understanding, this is how you do it. People do this all the time, all the time. We had someone in vibrational engineering manifest a $10 million house. They sent pictures, everything, a $10 million house. So once you understand yourself and you're working with yourself, there's really no limitations. There really isn't. So I this is what I want to see for everybody. I mean, that's why I bother teaching this stuff, is because anyone can do it, because the inner mechanics for RJ are exactly the same for you and for my neighbor, and it's exactly the same. It's not, well, only he can do it or only she can do it. That's not total nonsense. When you are working with what is and you're working with yourself directly, there's no limitation. There's absolutely no limitation. So 100,000 is, believe it or not, it's a drop in the bucket, and it has been a drop in the bucket for myself in terms of what I've been able to do, and that's a drop in the bucket for what other people have been doing, are doing. So anybody can do it, but if you think you're going to do it without putting in an effort and without investing in yourself, I mean, how's that working? How's that working for you? This is not what is. That's why it's not going to work. So when you work with yourself properly, what is abundance? And that's what manifests.
This is kind of like the 4-minute mile, RJ. You know what I mean? You being able to do this gives other people, the ability to do it as well, and they're able to do it quicker and faster. And so that's another component of being in these classes and courses is you're surrounded by people that want the same thing.
Yeah.
And like you say, a rising tide lifts all ships. And so seeing other people's wins and successes only elevates the group, and it becomes like its own force. Wouldn't you say so?
Absolutely. And if everyone can start celebrating other people's successes, watch what happens for you.
Wow.
So just do that. If you don't ever take a class of mine or a course of mine or read a book or whatever, that's fine. Just do what I just said. Start celebrating other people's successes as if they're your own, as if you're a part of it, because you are. See what happens to your life when you do that. Just stop with the petty bullshit about jealous or they had it easy or you're such a victim, blah blah blah. Right? Stop. Just stop with that and watch what happens when you celebrate other people's successes, when you're genuinely, authentically happy for their success, as if you're part of it. Watch what happens to your life.
You'll turn into a beach ball.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay, sweet. So you guys, I highly recommend jump into the Mechanics of Money. For anybody who's in there, leave it down in the comment section. I mean, class 1 was absolutely incredible. I think RJ talked about every single falsehood and that's perpetuated. I mean, things that I've heard for years and years and years, and the things that I surround myself with before I obviously found your work, RJ. So anyway, anything else we want to mention with regards to that or anything else?
If you desire better for yourself, just go for it. That's all. Just go for it. And if you don't, that's okay. It's okay too. I love you the exact same. I love you the exact same. I do deep down want better for you. And I really mean that. I do. That's why I'm even here. So I want better for you. But if you don't, that's okay too. Just take what you can glean from the interviews I do with Justin and all this kind of stuff. But that one thing, go back to that one thing about celebrate other people's successes, because watch the success that starts to happen for you. Right? Just do that. But if you really desire change, you can have it. You can absolutely have it. I will literally walk you through the whole process. And if you don't want it, that's okay too. It really is. And the last thing I want to say is that most people have tried a whole bunch of stuff, whatever it is, whether it's the law of attraction and this and that, whatever. Okay. And a lot of people probably think that, well, this is it's not really any different. I'm sure it's right. RJ's probably just teaches the same thing. Nope. I don't. So this is not what you've heard before. What I understand and what I embody is different than all those things. It absolutely is. So if you think you've tried everything and you think you know everything, you absolutely don't. You absolutely don't. And if what I say and my energy and my words resonates with you, then do something about it. And if it doesn't, then don't. And it's totally okay. Either way, I want the best for you. Literally, I want the best for you. You have to want the best for you yourself, and you have to be willing to put in the work.
I love it. What kind of person does it take to be happy about other people's successes, RJ? I think that takes like work in itself, it's a beautiful thing. Yeah. Okay. So you guys have a challenge for this video. Obviously it's that, but we need a word of the day, RJ. What do you think the word of the day should be?
I was ready for this.
Go. If it's beach ball, I'm just kidding. Go.
No. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Frivolity.
Wow.
Just say that word, frivolity.
Now, does this come from the family frivolously?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. A bit of frivolity. Oh. That is it's almost like a song and a dance in your mouth when you say that.
It's whimsical.
That also could have been word of the day, by the way. Whimsical.
Maybe bonus points if they do both of them.
Oh yeah, if you can incorporate frivolity and whimsical in a sentence, you've won. You have absolutely won. So, but
you'll unlock the cookie recipe, right?
Yeah, I don't.
Okay, sorry.
Speak for yourself, Justin.
Okay, sorry guys. I'll give you guys my version of it. Okay, so sweet. Now we have 2 words of the day. Comment those down below. Be sure to check out Money Mechanics, because you guys are going to catch the last 2 calls live. You're going to get the replay of the first one, and you're going to get the PDF. You're going to get the homework, and it'll be a completely new you by the time it's over with. Yeah. So anyway, all right, OJ, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Oh, it was my pleasure. I always like talking with you, Justin, and I'm sure I'll see you soon.
I hope so. I'll be a beach ball.
Me too. Yeah, me too.